Hi everyone, welcome back to Cheese and Turtles. My name's Imogen. In today's video, I am sharing some lessons that I've learned from living in Cambridge. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to do that, give this video a thumbs up, follow me on Instagram, and let's get started. So I was born in Cambridge and lived here my whole life until I moved to Durham for university, and after graduating, I've moved back. So in no particular order, these are some lessons. So if you're thinking of visiting, moving to Cambridge, or if you're just curious about what life is like here, these are some lessons that I have learned from living in Cambridge. And number one is you need a bike, okay? Bike culture is absolutely central to living in Cambridge and just Cambridge in general. So it's really important because pretty much everyone has a bike. You get around on bikes. The city, a lot of it is like built around bikes. And if you don't have a bike, then you're kind of not taking advantage of, firstly, one of the things that Cambridge culture is really well known for, and secondly, something that our transport system is really set up for. So you need a bike. You need a bike. It's not that scary, I promise. Cambridge is actually one of the safest places to ride a bike because of the focus we've put on bike infrastructure, in my opinion. So you need a bike. It's also extremely busy during term, as you might expect, but oddly quiet out of term. A very large proportion of Cambridge's residents are students, and so the kind of ebb and flow of people in the city really rigorously follows university terms. Now obviously there is a large sort of tourist population, but that's very transient, so there is definitely a difference you notice around the sort of the end of term and the start of term, with people starting to arrive and leave. So you can definitely notice how busy the city is, both in term and out of term, and there's a significant difference. So tourists will often stop me. I say often. This used to happen more in the past. I don't know if people have learned, or if I look less approachable now, but tourists used to often stop me and ask where the university is. This is kind of a pet peeve of mine. I kind of have to explain that it doesn't work that way. The college buildings are distributed throughout the city, and there's no one building which you can definitively say is the university. You kind of have to go around and look at all the colleges. Having said that, I will say that the Senate House is very cool, and that's a very important university building where a lot of graduations are held. So, excuse me. So yeah, I mean, I suppose if you want one university building to look at, you could go to the Senate House, but the Senate House is not the university. It's a little bit of it can be a bit of a difficult concept. Anyway, there are a huge variety of cultural events, and that is honestly one of the things that I like about, I love lots of things about Cambridge, but it is a really cool thing about Cambridge that there are so many cultural events. And this is student theatre, it can be gigs, it can be comedy, it could be quiz nights, whatever. There are loads of events that you can go to. And having said that, also the transport links to London are amazing. So if you ever want to go and catch a show in London, or just travel to wherever, to London or the rest of the country or the world, yeah, the transport links are amazing for that. So it's a very well connected place to live. You can also attend some lectures and academic talk series for free, which is pretty cool. Obviously, a lot of the culture of Cambridge is built around the university, and the university is an integral part of both the city and the culture, and it is in many ways a very sort of intellectual and academic environment, and the average person who lives in the city does have a lot of access to things like the museums and academic talk series. So you can go and listen to experts talk about random topics or just anything that you're interested in, and it's pretty accessible, which is something that as a massive nerd I really appreciate. And honestly, I say that, but I barely go, so I probably should go more, because there's a lot of interesting stuff happening and a lot of interesting talks that you can go to. The university owns basically all of the land, and retail rents are very high. The land ownership in Cambridge is a very interesting thing, and a very long history that I won't bore you with right now, but basically the long and the short of it is the university owns most of the land, and the university controls the land mostly in the centre of town, but also to some extent outside the centre of town as well. And pretty much all the shops in the centre of town have the university as their landlord, so, or at least a significant proportion of them do. So they set the retail rents and so on and so forth, and that has often led to a lot of traders and people who own shops. They've struggled because obviously it's very, very competitive, and the market for retail rents in Cambridge is like, it's crazy. I mean, the housing market is also crazy, a little bit less so. I mean, I live a little bit out of the centre of town, but even so, it's like, yeah, the land ownership thing is really interesting, because obviously everybody wants to have a shop in the centre of Cambridge because it's like prime tourist real estate. But yeah, it's competitive. It's competitive. The university owns most of the land. Kind of on that point, inequality and homelessness are both big problems. So inequality in terms of, you know, there's a very, as well as the university and obviously the kind of academic research centre aspect of Cambridge, there is a huge software company boom in Cambridge as well. So a lot of software companies, a lot of research companies are based in Cambridge, and there is definitely a divide of some inequality in the city between people who have very high powered like tech or academic jobs and people who may earn less in other sectors. So inequality is a big problem. Homelessness is a big problem. I mentioned earlier about the housing market. I was in a relatively privileged position when I was hunting for my flat, but even so, it was really tough, and viewings were competitive, and things that I would have been interested in like got away from me. So yeah, I was very lucky to get the flat that I did, and I mean I jumped on this place. Like, I viewed it and I immediately like ran to the nearest pub and I filled out the online application, and it was submitted 10 minutes after I left the viewing. So like I was on it, but you have to be. And I think homelessness as well it's not just a housing market problem, although it absolutely is. It links back to the inequality thing, and yeah, we gotta do more to help out homeless people in Cambridge. But yeah, inequality and homelessness are both big problems. The rental market, like I said, is kind of crazy, both for students and professionals. Like, it kind of doesn't matter whether you're in a sort of student accommodation or, I mean, a lot of students, to be fair, live in college. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And for professionals, which obviously is what I am now, my rent is almost double what it was in Durham. Although, to be fair, I lived in a house share in Durham and I live by myself in my own flat in Cambridge. So obviously my rent's going to go up. So that it may seem like a bit of a disingenuous thing to say, but nevertheless, rents are generally higher in Cambridge than they would have been in Durham, which makes sense. But yeah, the rental market is crazy. All right, these are random lessons I've learned from living in Cambridge. If you're not already subscribed, please do that. Give this video a thumbs up. Follow me on Instagram. I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.